You're welcome to the last section of this video tutorial, Introduction to Database Design using MySQL. What is SQL? SQL is Structured Query Language. It has its own syntax and there are rules you have to follow to write the codes. Let me take you through some of the basics. Now, the four basic tasks you perform with MySQL are: you create a database, you read from the database, you update the database, you delete record from the database. For creating a database, you insert into table. Let's say, of course, you know what I mean by field by now. That's a column. You insert into table. That's the name of your relational table, or your relation rather, because relation and table they're the same thing. You insert into table field 1, field 2, field 3 values, value 1, value 2, value 3, the values you want to be inside your table. Take note of the uppercase, insert into, then values. Then if you want to read from the database, you do a select asterisk from, then your table. Asterisk means all, select all from table. Where field, that means your column equals a particular value and you're ordering it by some set of columns. ASC here means ascending order. Take note of the uppercase for ASC, for order, for where, for select. Now if you want to write it in descending order, you just almost the same format, except that you change to DESC, which means descending order. Alright. To update a database is straightforward. All you need to do is update table, the name of your table, set field 1, that's a particular column, into a particular value, where field 2 that is already existing equals a particular value. So you set an already existing field into the new value you want, where another field or column equals to another value. Take note of update set where, uppercase. Now lastly, to delete a record from your database, you just do delete from table, where your column field 1 equals to a particular value. That's the row, the record you want to delete. Take note of delete from and where, all uppercase. Alright, now you have a case study here. Your lecturer asked you to create a database using MySQL to store the following records on students in your class: the matric number, the initials, the last name, total number of courses registered for the semester, and you're expected to do something. Number the records incrementally from 1. That means the records are supposed to go from 1, 2, 3 upward. Alright, how do we do that? Solution. Now I'll take you straight to WAMP environment. I'm using MySQL from my WAMP server. Of course, you can have it isolated and you can have a WAMP too. Wherever way you have it, I'll just be going from WAMP, my WAMP server. Of course, I'll start my WAMP server, I go to MySQL, I click on MySQL console, and I will find myself here. Wow. So let me minimize this. So enter password. I don't need a password for this. I don't use a password here. Of course, that's not too good. Alright. So the first thing you do is you create your database and you give it a name. For this one, I'm going to call my database class. You know, this whole exercise is all about a class that you're supposed to keep records or store records for students. So I'm going to call this database class, and you end every statement with a semicolon. Query OK, one row affected, and I'm going to use my database class. So the next thing you do is, after creating your database, you use it. That's how to get into the database. Alright, database changed, now I can use my database. So the next thing is, I'll create a table called I prefer to use students, and of course I'm going to open my browser. Don't forget that we're incrementing, we're creating, we're using numbers, and we're incrementing the number. So there's a way to do that with MySQL. Let me show you that. I'll press enter here because I'm not yet done. So I'll go to the next line, and I'm going to use the entity number for that. And of course, this is a different setting from access. Here you don't use number or text, Instead of number, I'll use integer, and instead of text, I'll be using char or varchar. Alright, so I'll go for integer here, and I want my integer to be like how many characters now? Let's say 2. Let's say I'm expecting, no, let's use 3, because the number of students can run to 3 digits. Let's say 100 and 200 and the rest. So let me use a 3 digits um, data type here. Let my data type be of 3 digits value. So I have that, and I don't want it to take a null value. That means you can't leave this record blank. So I will set it to not null, and because I want the number to increment automatically, I will use what we call auto increment. Now I'm not done. I'm going to use a comma, and I press enter to go to the next line. So I have matric. That's the next entity I have here. Then I'll set this to, I'll use data type varchar, and the number I will set to 6. Of course, not null also. Comma. The next is initials. Now I want this initials to take 3 characters. Your first name, that's a, let's say your JK Randu, John Kosoko Randu. So J for John, I'll put a dot, then K for Kosoko, which is the middle name. So I'm going to use a varchar, and that will be 3. Alright, up to 3 characters. Then not null also, it can take a null value, then comma. Now if you want to write more than one name, one word in as MySQL, you can't use space. Space is not allowed. So all you can do is use underscore, or you write them together. So for last name, I'll use last underscore name. Alright, it's a varchar too, and it's not expected to be more than 15 characters, and of course not null. Then lastly, I have courses registered. I will write this together, but using an uppercase for the next word. So I will do like this: courses registered. Right. Okay. Or this will not be varchar now. This will be int, because we're talking of the total number of courses you've registered for. So we're counting. Now we don't expect anybody to do more than maybe 10 courses in a semester, or 11. So that would be 2 digits. 2 digits will take care of that. So we're using 2 here. And of course not null too. You can't leave anyone blank, any of these records blank. Alright. Then lastly, before we go, we must define our primary key. What will be the primary key for this table? Primary key. Primary key. Uppercase. Alright. Now I can use matric, I can use number, but because I'm auto incrementing, with auto incrementing, that means no 2 students can have the same number. You can't be number 1 and be number 1. So if you are on number 1, another student will be on number 2. So that means number will also uniquely identify this table. And because we're using auto increments, the system will prefer us to use number, even though matric can also be used because it will be unique. But in this case, matric will only be a candidate key, an alternative to our primary key, but our primary key will be number. We're going for number. Alright. And once you're done, the next thing is you close the brackets that we opened earlier. We opened the brackets here, you close it, and you end every statement with semicolon. Enter. That means query OK, 0 rows affected.